Congressman Clyde, thank you so much for joining us today on Washington Watch.
Well, Jody, it's great to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's our privilege. Listen, we've been discussing already and talking about some of the radical views, the positions that Stacey Abrams is putting forth. What do you think? What do you think about some of these comments that somehow or other babies themselves contribute to the problem of the economy, for example?
That's an amazing response by Stacey Abrams. Again, it is an attempt by the left to put abortion front and center prior to the November 8th elections. They have tried to do this continuously. They believe that they're going to win on this issue. I think it's wrong. Inflation is the primary issue that Americans are concerned about, and then after that, it's crime. And she's trying to link abortion to inflation, which just I don't see where the link is, but I certainly see that the Democrats do not value children. They do not value life. And that is just an unthinkable thing for them to do that. And the country needs to know that. This is a distraction from the crises that we're seeing by the Biden administration. And Stacey Abrams is trying to cover for it and saying that somehow abortion, access to abortion is a way to lower inflation or is a way to deal with inflation and make it better. And that's just wrong.
Well, it absolutely is. And, it's so difficult to even wrap the mind around that type of thinking just by itself. And I do want to hit on some other things. I want to talk to you in just a second about the Defense Department, what they came out with yesterday. But before we hit that, you just hit it. The American people, the voters right now, are so concerned about other things like the economy and crime and a host of other things. Are the Democrats so out of touch that they don't catch what's going on, or do they really believe that abortion somehow is a winning issue?
No, I think they believe that abortion is a winning issue, Jody, and I don't think the American people believe it's a winning issue, but they're trying to push it in every possible way. I mean, you saw the FBI arresting these folks, these pro-life people outside of clinics, who months and months ago, were protesting. And here they are right before the election, making the news, arresting these people in trying to keep abortion alive front and center, just like what happened a few weeks ago in our oversight hearing there, where Dr. Kunar with Dr. Kunar, where they tried to push abortion as health care, and those states that restrict abortion services are therefore restricting women's health care. That's the narrative they're trying to drive, and it's a false narrative. It absolutely is completely false, but that's what they're trying to do, to push this front and center to the American people. They think that this is a winning issue for them in November. It's not a winning issue. I'm so thankful for the Roe v. Wade, that it was taken down by the Dobbs decision. And I think the American people are concerned about the real crises that are affecting our nation, affecting our pocketbook, crime, open borders, all of those things that the Biden administration policies have caused.
I want to shift gears a little bit with you if we can. I don't know if you saw the president or not today, but in a speech, he actually spoke about the economy. And well, let's begin with this clip and then we'll go from there.
Today, we have further proof that we're rebuilding the economy in a responsible way. Today, my administration announced that this year, the deficit fell by $1.4 trillion. The largest one-year drop in American history.
Stunning. I mean, let's look at this, Congressman. The government spending for 2022 was something like $420 billion higher than what even the president requested, and much of that was due to COVID emergency spending, which now has expired. So that tremendous amount of money that was in there that now has expired and no longer is able to be spent, the president is coming along and taking credit for somehow he's taking a victory lap for lowering the deficit somehow. And yet this is simply much of it just spending that has expired. Give me your thoughts on this.
Oh, you're absolutely right, Jody. I mean, the president is taking credit for something that he had nothing to do with. I mean, this is where Congress, set a time limit on the amount of COVID money and when it could be spent. And, he announced that the pandemic was over. Therefore, you have COVID money that is no longer being able to be spent, and therefore it cannot be added to the deficit. So he's calling this a deficit reduction that he's taking credit for. Somehow his policies must have done this. Well, his policies had absolutely nothing to do with it. If he was really doing his job, then we would have a balanced budget. We're $31 trillion in debt. And a significant portion of that, almost $5 trillion is under his watch.
I think that's extremely well said. What you just said, that he's taking credit for something that someone else has done. I think that just wraps all of it up in a nutshell. I look at this, Andrew, and there like 9 out of the top 10 states that are experiencing a job recovery. 9 out of the 10 have Republican governors, and the 10th one has a Republican legislature involved. And you look across the board of 21 states that are the lowest in unemployment, 17 of them are Republican-led states. So when you say the president is taking credit that someone else has done, I think you're spot on. When you look at the job recovery and so forth, that's just a continuation of what you're talking about, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely it is. I mean, you've got our state of Georgia, where Governor Brian Kemp, kept us open or opened us really early on. And then you've got Florida. I mean, the states that are open, the states where the Republican governors are saying workers need to get back to work. The pandemic, we can deal with it, but we can still keep our lives and our livelihoods in order. That's the states that are being successful. It's the blue states that believe in lockdowns, that believe in making sure that their people stay home and that they're on the government dole. Those are the states that are not surviving very well. It's the Republican-led states that are doing really well, and the president wants to take credit for it, and that's just wrong. The policies of this president have done nothing but create crisis after crisis after crisis for this nation, and I'm hoping on November the 8th, the American people send him a red tsunami and say, no more.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. We have the elections coming up, less than 2 weeks away now. You expressed your hope, as I'm sure millions of other Americans, of a red tsunami. But give me your thoughts on what you think is going to turn out here in just over 2 weeks with the election.
Well, Jody, I'm hoping that every solitary American turns out, because every American has been affected by inflation. They've been affected by the 8.3% inflation that we're seeing, the highest inflation in 40 years, caused by this president's terrible economic policies. So they need to vote for their pocketbooks. Exactly what is the primary issue. And after that's crime, and you've got open borders. These are issues that are directly affecting every citizen in the United States. Every state is a border state because of the way the federal government has been pushing these illegals into every state of the union. And it is having a huge economic impact on the states and our communities. And the people need to get out and vote. I believe they'll vote Republican. I believe we'll take back the House. I'm certainly hoping that we'll take back the Senate, because we need to do that in order for our country to be put back on track, both economically and then as well in every other way, for the safety of our nation.
All right. Well, 2 questions, and we've just, again, Andrew, have just a couple of minutes left. So if you can be a little bit briefer with the first one, because I want to hit on the second one if we can a little bit more. But one of the issues that I'm always concerned about at a time like this is the lame duck session that's coming up. And you look over in the Senate right now, they're dealing with issues like the so-called Respect for Marriage Act. How concerned are you about the upcoming lame duck session? And if we can be kind of quick on this, because I have one more I want to throw to you.
Jody, I'm very concerned about a lame duck session. When we take back the House and the Senate, it'll be the Democrats' last opportunity to drive their big government socialist agenda into the American people. And so it's very concerning, and we have to stand strong against it.
Okay, so one more quick question before we go to the break. if, and hopefully it will, but if the Republicans indeed take the House and the Senate, where do you think they need to immediately go? What needs to be the priority? What needs to be the immediate focus?
Well, I think number one, we've got to get rid of these 87,000 IRS agents that are going to do nothing but audit the middle class. I think we need to secure our borders. That needs to be a top priority as well. The Republicans have their commitment to America, and that is a nation that is secure, that is an economy that's strong, that is a future based on freedom, and a government that's accountable. All of those things we need to work on. It'll take us probably 6 to 8 months to get through that, but I think the number one is the IRS and then and securing the border.